Hello, boys and girls. We are back with more personal narrative this week. This is day 4, and we're continuing with Knots in My Yo-Yo String. Part of your assignment for today is to write an opinion about Jerry Spinelli's ideas regarding radio and television. And so we're going to continue with an excerpt. Actually, it's the one we started yesterday with George Street. And we're going to hear a little bit about how he felt about radio and television. Now, remember, this is set in the 1950s, so this is a very different point of view than how you would probably feel about it now. Let's go ahead and begin with Knots in My Yo-Yo String, The Autobiography of a Kid by Jerry Spinelli. Now, whenever we read yesterday, we read this part up here. That's where we ended, talking about the coal being dropped off. We're going to skip down to the bottom of this to begin where we're talking about the radio. The main sound machine, of course, was the radio. Unlike many people my age, I cannot give a long list of the programs I listened to. What I do recall are 3 motifs. The Lone Ranger theme song, otherwise known as the William Tell Overture, footsteps walking down hallways, and doors creaking open. Beyond that, I simply remember listening and picturing. For radio was a partnership. The radio furnished the sounds, and the listener supplied the pictures. TV and movie screens have shaded us from the evocative power of sound. Our eyes enslave us. Seeing is believing. In contrast to TV, which asks us merely to turn it on and become a passive dartboard, radio asked us to meet it halfway, to co-create the moment. The resulting pictures in our heads had a depth of reality possible only when the camera is the person. Despite my love of radio, I soon gave in to the lure of television. The first TV set in my corner of the West End belonged to the Bestwicks up on Cone Street, a block west of George. Butchie Bestwick's popularity zoomed. Day by day, or day after day, a mob of kids sat on the Bestwick living room rug after school, goggle-eyed and gaping like so many guppies at Willie the Worm on the 10-inch black and white screen. Mrs. Bestwick must have been a saint. Over time, the mob diminished, one cross-legged floor-sitter at a time, as new families acquired television sets. Our family got one in 1950, a 12-inch Magnavox, when I was in 3rd grade and home with my kidney illness. Doctor's orders confined me to my bed, but I made such a fuss that I was finally allowed to be carried downstairs and plopped into a chair to watch TV for 1 hour, not a minute more. Television and I grew up together. Meanwhile, movies seduced me with Technicolor and 3D and CinemaScope. By the time I got my driver's license, the only radio in my life was in the family car. On July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 astronauts rode the lunar module Eagle to the surface of the moon. Like much of the world, I was in front of a TV set watching fuzzy images of the event. Eagle launching from the mother spacecraft, Eagle orbiting the moon, Eagle coming in lower, skimming lunar hills and craters, seeking a spot to land. I strained my eyes watching, and still I wasn't seeing, not well enough, the pictures in my head. I rushed outside to my car. I turned on the radio, and that's where I experienced the landing on the moon. I had rediscovered what I knew back on George Street. Listening is believing. So refer to this as you're working on your paragraph today. There's a portion of this excerpt in your Thursday planner folder in ELA.